Hello crafty friends, welcome to today's clean and simple card making tutorial. Today I'm going to use this sketch from our July sketch booklet and I'm going to make an aperture card to create my present shape here. So I have a 4x6 inch card blank and I've cut a panel of smooth white card to go on top using a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to temporarily adhere my card panel to my card front. Now I've got my rule of thirds acetate grid, which is going to sit here on top of my card to help me get my present in the right place. So I've got a rectangle die and I want to place it in the middle horizontally, but so its centre is about a third of the way up the card on this line here. Now before I press that into place, I'm going to use my T-square ruler just to get that straight. And now I'm going to run my panel through my die cutting machine. I want to carefully remove this tape. If you have trouble removing tape, heat it with your heat tool just to soften the adhesive on the back. Oops, that popped out really well. So now I'm going to pop this back on here a tick, back where I want it, like that. Put my die there in exactly the right place. Add a little hinge of tape so it's grabbing onto the card. I can flip that up, take that out and pop that back in, and hopefully it'll be in the right place, something like that. Just want to double check that it's straight. Could be a little bit straighter. Just hold it in place with that tape and I'll remove this one and hopefully it'll be in the right place. I said that already, didn't I? So now I'm going to put some copy paper there to protect the front of my card. I'm going to place it cutting side up, make sure it is within the bounds of the cutting plate so I don't mangle the sides of the card, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. I'm only going to run it through as far as the die. Once it's cut, I'm going to run it back again because I don't want to press any shapes from the edge of this into my card. So that seems to have come out nicely, no unwanted marks. And hopefully that's going to line up over there and create my aperture. And that works. Yeah. But what I want to do now, before I stick this to this, is put something here. I want to put some vellum in my little aperture that I've created. So I've got this nice delicate stamp, repeating pattern of little petals. I'm going to dust my vellum with some talcum powder, just to remove any static moisture or grease, oils from my fingers. Now I'm inking this up with embossing ink. If you've just joined us this month, this is a whole month of heat embossing videos, and the basics are right at the start of the month in the first 4 videos if you want to check those out. And now I'm going to give that a good press and hopefully I'll get enough of a pattern to put behind my aperture. I can tilt that and I can see that that has stamped just fine. And for my embossing powder, I'm going to use Wow Metallic Platinum Superfine. This is heat resistant vellum, so it will take heating really well, but I am going to heat on my highest setting, get my heat tool nice and hot before I start, and keep the heat tool moving so I don't overheat any areas. So that's come out beautifully. Now I can select an area like that and cut it down. I want to do a little bit experiment before we go any further, and I've got some worn lipstick, Distress Oxide. And I'm just thinking on the back of this, adding a blush of colour. So that's now visible from the front and from the back. And the trouble is that it may rub off because vellum is non-absorbent, so that ink is just going to sit on top. But I'm wondering if I could add a bit of ink with my ink pad and then heat emboss in clear embossing powder over that. Oh no, I've got an idea. Hang on, I've got another idea. What I'm going to do is put some ink on the back of this, just doing an experiment. And I've got this hint of pink embossing powder. If I sprinkle this over, I might get a hint of pink. We'll see. So there's definitely a hint of pink sheen there. But is that going to show up through the aperture? Not really. So I might go back to my first idea. I could always add a hint of pink over the top of it, over this ink. So we've got more of a hint of pink on the back because of the ink as well as the powder, and we can still see pink through that. You just have to be careful when doing this second embossing not to mess up this on the front, but I think we can get away with that. I think that looks pretty good. So on the back of this, I'm going to add some worn lipstick. Now, as Distress Oxide is a pigment dye hybrid, the ink often stays wet long enough to heat emboss on. So I might try, just experimenting as I go here, adding the hint of pink without adding any extra embossing ink on top. Let's see if it will stick. Yep, that's covered that beautifully. So if you want to do this, blend over the back of your vellum with some kind of slow drying coloured ink, a pigment or a pigment dye hybrid, and then sprinkle over some translucent embossing powder, whether that's clear or whether it's got some kind of hint of colour to it. So I'm going to heat this, hold it in my tongs so as not to mess up the back or burn my fingers. Right, I'm going to hold that till it's cooled and set because I don't want to put it down and mess up this side or this side. And now I'm going to put some tape around the edge of my aperture. And I can get my tape runner to cooperate. And we'll place that over there. I want to get it balanced. And now I want to sandwich that between that panel and the card front so you don't see the mucky back. I'm going to use double-sided tape for this because I think I need to give this vellum a little bit of extra help to stick down. And now I've got to get this on here, lining up this hole with this hole here. Right, I think I've managed it. So now we've got the pink and the gold, and then the pink and the hint of pink. And I think that looks great. On my sketch, I've got some spatters behind my present. You can add these at any stage. I'm going to add them now because I just remembered about them. I'm going to pop that in there to protect my present from these green spatters that I'm going to add. Just get a damp baby wipe to mop up or lighten these ones up here. She says, having made a right old mess of that. Never mind. We might add some more in a minute. We can take that out. We've got our green spatters. You know, sometimes you do something and you wish you hadn't, and this is one of those times. I'm wishing I hadn't put green spatters on there now because I've made a right old mess of it. I don't think it needed it, but what I can do is cut another one of these and pop it over the top. Right, I've cut another one. Similar way to the way I cut the hole in the card by taping on the die and flapping it up. And that should fit perfectly, and it does. Yep, happy with that. Much better. No green splatters today, thank you very much. So I want to cut my bow out of some platinum coloured cardstock. So I'm going to ink up this card with embossing ink. So that's given me a lovely coat of platinum there. It's slightly pitted, but that's fine. A nice little bit of texture. If I wanted it super smooth, I could do another inking and sprinkling and heating on top, but I'm happy with that. So I've actually cut that out 3 times and cut down 2 of them. So I've got one whole bow, one bow with both bits, both loopy bits, top and bottom, and then one with just the top. So we're going to get a bit of a layered bow. So I'm going to dip this into some high-tack white glue. I'm just going to put glue on the top part of the bow, the bit that's going to be in contact with the white card, and I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to get the double bow and add a bit to the back of that and place that on top there. And then I'm going to add some to the back of the top loops and place that on there. And it doesn't really matter if they line up perfectly or not. We're just trying to create the illusion of a multi-dimensional bow. Now I want to punch a hole out of this. Might be too big for this bow, might have to go down a hole punch size, but we'll see. Put some glue on the back of that and add that on top like the knot. And I think that's fine actually. So now we've got quite a nice multi-dimensional bow. I got this sentiment that I stamped and die cut quite a while ago now. It's been in my sentiment box. I'm just going to chop off from all of us, and I'll round or bevel the edge that I've just cut with the scissors to make it match the die cut edges. And on the sketch I've got the sentiment here, so it could go on the bow, it could go under the bow, it could actually put it somewhere else on the card, but I think I might pop it there. It's not going to cover up too much of that lovely vellum. And now we've got a card with a little aperture, a little window in it, but it's not too see-through, so you can still write a message here and it won't be too visible. It won't mess up what you've got there. And we've got this here which looks just fine. You can see the bow and the sentiment through it, but I think that's okay. Right, so that was another labour of love. You'd think clean and simple cards would go quite simply, but they don't always do that. But if you persevere and are willing to maybe rethink a few things, you'll get there in the end. And I really like the way this one turned out. Right, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's given you plenty of ideas. Please do let me know in the comments if it has. And do leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you want to see more from me. Right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here very soon. Bye for now.